What's up, everyone? Drunken Phoenix here. Welcome back. So today I'm going to react to people talking about getting sued by their credit card companies due to a lot of credit card debt. So this should be really interesting. So let's go ahead and get started.
Something really totally embarrassing for me. I was supposed to have a court date today. I ignored a debt collector and they sent it to a law firm to sue me. And I got sued by a debt collector. And I thought the chances of that happening were like slim to none. Like, it was only $1,000. Do they really want to like have to go after me for $1,000? Like, what is that? No, they did. Yeah, they sent the constable to my house with the papers saying that I need to sort this out. Long story short, I settled for 80% of what I owe, and I paid it all off like 12 days ago. Thankfully, like normally I would not have been able to do this, but my husband got a raise at work and it's been great. And my court date was scheduled for today. Thankfully that was canceled, but that was like the scariest thing I've ever had to do in my life. I was like, I don't just pay. I'll just pay. I'm like, I don't want to have to go to court. I have anxiety.
Okay, so with that, fortunately for her, she was able to pay it. She got off with only having to pay 80%. I guess my thing is, if you had the funds, why not just pay your debt? Like, I understand, things happen. Everyone doesn't have the money. They may, you could lose your job. Just anything can happen with just, anything can happen. But she seemed to have had the money, so I just don't see why not just pay if you got it like that. So anyway, next video.
I did a video about fighting an old credit card debt because they're trying to sue me and garnish my wages. And I have a lot of people in my comments telling me I should pay my bills. No, unless it's an immediate monthly bill that could get something cut off in my house, it is not considered a necessity to me. I don't care if I rack up the debt myself. If I can't pay it and I don't pay it, you gotta fight me for it. There is no moral compass when it comes to these companies for me. I don't give a fuck. Even medical debt. If I go to the emergency room and I get 5 bills from 5 different departments, none of them are getting paid. There was also a lot of people very concerned about my credit score. You guys are more concerned about it than me. I don't care about my credit score. A lot of people move through life without actually ever using their credit score. I'm one of those people. I don't let their scare tactics scare me. The debts get passed from company to company to company to company, and by the time it gets to company number 5, they paid like $2 for my $900 debt. They're not getting that money. End of story.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack with that video. I would say, despite me being someone that's very well aware of how corrupt and broken the system is, I would not recommend just not paying your debt only because it's only gonna hurt you. Credit scores are really important. I get that it's just, this imaginary number that isn't always fair, because if you're someone that lost your job, or if you got into a medical emergency, it's not always feasible to, pay your debts. And I understand that. It doesn't, like, you are going to prioritize, the things that matter most, like food, electricity, your mortgage or your rent. So I'm aware of that, but I think you should try to put some effort into paying your debts, just because it's only going to benefit you, and I don't feel like it's a good idea to just let your credit score just fall and just have all these other problems, because, for no other reason than it's just going to be harder for you, But again, I am aware that, unfortunate circumstances can happen to people. You can lose your job. You can get into a medical emergency. I'm very much aware that there are a number of reasons why people may not feel motivated to pay their debt, because there's just so many factors, and I, for one, think that, healthcare should be, if not free for Americans, it should at the very least be much more affordable. I don't think anybody should have to go into debt or, have to possibly go bankrupt just because they needed medical care.
Anyone that works as a debt collector, you're gonna have to pry that shit from my fucking corpse. You're not getting a dime. You're not getting shit. Fuck you. Stop calling me.
I just thought that was funny. That's how I feel when it comes to a lot of these scam calls. Like, it seems like every other day I get a scam caller. But anyway.
I'm being sued by Capital One for an alleged debt of $3,405.75. Here's how I'm going to beat these allegations. Without a lawyer. Just kidding. I actually hired the best firm on earth for people like me, broke people with nothing more than a few cents to their name. They start at $20 a month with no retainer, no talking back, no bitching and moaning. OpenAI! To start, we initiated a conversation with our personal GPT, Jimmy. We shared all the information with him so he can be fully aware of the bullshit I am being forced to go through. He's going to point out the things to me that I might not understand because I'm not a lawyer. Then he's going to proceed in the questions. And I answer all of these extremely detailed. I'm not going to show you my answers because, just because in case. But know that I answered very detailed and I have a very specific goal with this. To avoid paying. Also tells me what not to do, as any proper law firm would. Don't ignore it. Explain. Answer. Drag it out. And because Jimmy is an expert in his field, an accredited lawyer, very familiar with cases like this, he's going to give me an action checklist that I can go by. Jimmy was kind enough to generate me an amazing answer form in which I submitted to the Circuit Court State of Oregon as my answer to these allegations. Deny, 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 deny for 15 lines. Now, the key part about this whole thing is the fact that I answered and that OpenAI was able to help me understand how to answer, the right way to answer, and every channel I need to go through to make sure I'm doing this properly and so I don't screw myself over, and without making me pay thousands of dollars or however much to talk to a lawyer about this.
Yeah, I'm so overly stressed out right now, and I'm really just trying to continue to motivate myself to work because I have no motivation to work right now. Just this week, I got extra hours, which made me become a full-time worker here, 32 hours compared to the 12 hours that I was getting. As soon as I accepted the new hours, y'all, I got a notification that I was going to get garnished out of my check. At first, I thought it was like a scam. I'm like, what? Like, all of this is by surprise. But I knew I had stuff going on, court cases where I maxed out credit cards, all of this back then. So I kind of do a little investigation, I realized that it is Capital One, and they claiming $6,275 when I only used $4,000 on a credit card. They put interest on it to the point where it was $5,000, like over $5,000. It was like $5,800 or so. It was like in the fives when they took it to court. The court case, they had court on my behalf without me knowing all this and that, and pretty much I got a lawsuit filed against me for them to garnish $6,200 out of my pocket, and I guarantee y'all the debt wasn't even $4,200. I guarantee y'all the debt was not even $4,200. The interest made it become so much, and to the point where they trying to take $600 out of my check each month. Y'all, that is $150 per week out of my check that they finna be getting. Like, I don't even want to work. Why would I continue working, y'all? I should just quit the job, start a new job, put 10 dependents down, and they won't be able to get up with me. And they won't be able to take so much out of my check because I'm already single, trying to maintain everything, and I'm just about to quit. Like, what are y'all suggestions? I need suggestions. That's the only reason why I'm making this video. Not making this video so y'all to get my motherfucking business. I'm making this video for suggestions. So give me suggestions. I know I look rough. I'm look like what I'm going through right now, y'all. I'm very stressed out. Like, I thought life was getting better, but it's actually like it's not. I gotta pay $150 per week, $600 per month.
Okay, this young lady's situation seems, it just sucks. I can't imagine having, garnishments from, my income. That sucks. I think but it sounds like, I think what we need in America, and I think this is, I think this is a part of the system, is to keep people uneducated about interest rates and just financial literacy in general. Like, she seems very surprised that she had approximately an additional $2,000 on top of her debt. That's how interest works. And clearly, she didn't know. So, I can understand that from a human level, but unfortunately with the law and with how, the system works, ignorance is not an excuse. So, I don't have any advice for this lady besides just pay the debt. And I get it. I get things are not fair. I get that everyone's not born with a silver spoon in your mouth. And I think this goes into another conversation. And another thing that I noticed with a lot of these videos is the comment sections are really brutal. They're very judgmental. And I think, we have to understand that not everyone has access to the same amount of education or, knowledge or influences that can help them make better decisions or make more savvy decisions. And just because someone is, really well off, or they have good credit, or that, they're able to pay all their debts, that does not necessarily mean that they are necessarily harder workers. Oftentimes they might just have better access to education, which means that they might have had, and when I say education, I'm not just talking about college. I just mean just good influences as well. Maybe they have two parents that were very knowledgeable about that stuff, or maybe at some point in their life they encountered people that were able to assist them. Not everyone has that, and also, often, I think another big thing is that sometimes a lot of people just have a lot of money. They come from money. And when I say come from money, not necessarily meaning they're all millionaires, but, they have access to people that can help them, whether it's family members, friends, so just because someone has, is doing good financially, that does not automatically mean that they are just better at life or that they just made better decisions. Sometimes it does mean that, but even then you have to break it down as to why. Okay, what influences or environmental factors or even biological factors were there that, helped them to be who they are? So I don't know. I just think this whole system, the whole debt system, is really corrupt. And yet, although I do advocate for people having personal responsibility and, making smart, sound financial decisions, I also know that a lot of things are set up systematically to keep people uneducated, to keep people indebted, and to keep people just in this perpetual cycle of just working to, living to work, not working to just afford a nice living, but just living to just work. No time for fun, no time for your other human needs, such as, social interaction, being out in nature, getting sunlight, just this whole system of just work. So that's what I have to say. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.